Zachary Comstock didn't seize power. He was invited to it. People like him don't rise because they're strong. They rise because others are tired and confused about the source of their frustration. Misplaced anger blinds their decision making. Tired of the weight of a complicated world, their critical thinking skills leave the building, and the space is filled with something more impulsive. And Comstock gives them an easier story to believe in. He tells them the world has fallen, that only faith and discipline can lift it again, and that purity will save them. He feeds into their nostalgia of a long world past, damning the ever-moving forward wave of progress as some sort of diverging of faith, that he alone can deliver them back to grace. Columbia isn't heaven, it's an advertisement for one. Every tower, every parade, every sermon exists to remind its citizens, you are the chosen ones. The world below is corruption, and we are salvation. But when a nation calls itself chosen, it's already decided who isn't. Comstock understood something most demagogues never say out loud. People don't want truth, they want meaning. He took religion, patriotism, and pain and wove them together until no one could tell them apart. Faith became infrastructure, citizenship became confession, morality became obedience, and obedience became his personal obsession. He baptized nationalism, turned devotion into duty, and built a country on the illusion of innocence. That's how power lasts. It doesn't demand worship, it rewards it. It lets people feel righteous while doing nothing at all. It's fascism dressed up as patriotism. Before he was the prophet, Comstock was a man desperate for absolution. A soldier haunted by the blood on his hands, who mistook shame for revelation. He didn't want forgiveness, he wanted a do-over. So he rewrote history. He painted a version of America that never existed, pure, faithful, untainted. And then he sold that dream back to the people who feared they'd lost it, feeding that hateful nostalgia until they believed it was a better time. He built Columbia for those who wanted to rise above consequence, a place where the past could stay perfect and the future could be controlled. That's the paradox of nostalgia. You can't love the past and see it clearly at the same time. It promises comfort, but it requires blindness to evil and blindness to the suffering of others. And Comstock made that blindness a virtue. The blatant racism is apparent in Columbia, with the opening sequence giving a highlight into how Columbia views people of color.
The Bowl! Is that not the prettiest young white girl in all of Columbia? All right then. The winner is number 77!
Oh, what do you know?
Over here, he's the winner!
Number 77, come and claim your prize! First row!
It was me. It was all me. Please. Please. Please, what are you doing?
Come on! Are you gonna throw it? Or are you taking your coffee black these days?
Let her go, please. I'm the one you want.
Oh, looks like we've got a shy one here.
This just begins to scratch the surface of how extreme religious nationalism is used as an excuse, a shield against people of differing faith and color. The only laborers we see are people of color, while everyone else remains the aristocratic elite and enjoys the best luxuries Columbia has to offer. Columbia's gospel isn't about salvation, it's about separation. Comstock doesn't teach love, he teaches hierarchy. There are the faithful and there are the fallen, those who belong and those who don't.
Everything's changing. People don't know their place anymore.
Tell me about it. An Oriental stopped me on the street and asked me for the time. Just like that. There should be a law. I think there is.
It's the same story every empire tells itself, that purity must be protected, that enemies are moral failures, that exclusion is a form of grace. Comstock doesn't need an army when he has conviction. When cruelty becomes sacred, violence feels like worship, and his people don't call it oppression, they call it order. Comstock's brilliance isn't in his power, it's in his presentation. He speaks like a preacher, dresses like a saint, and hides behind the glow of divine approval. But the truth is simple. He isn't holy. He's lonely and insecure. A man consumed by the need to be right, to be remembered. The only love that matters to him is the one he gives himself through his arrogance and his obsession with power. Every tyrant starts this way, believing they're chosen, believing their cruelty is correction, believing history will absolve them somehow. But the more Comstock preaches salvation, the more he builds his own hell. His city floats only because it has to, because the moment it touches the ground, it would have to face what it's built on: oppression and lies. Columbia isn't just a city in the clouds. It's a reflection of a culture that confuses faith with identity. It's what happens when morality becomes branding, when we stop asking what's right and start asking who's on our side. The mindset leads to a division of the people, where we start looking left and right instead of up. Comstock's sermons echo because they feel familiar. They speak to fear, nostalgia, pride, the same forces that pull at us today. The need to feel pure, the longing to feel certain, the fear of admitting that maybe, just maybe, we were never as righteous as we thought. When nations worship their own reflection, they always mistake vanity for virtue. And Comstock, he's the face of that vanity given a pulpit.
The Lord forgives everything, but I'm just a prophet, so I don't have to. Amen.
Every empire that preaches perfection eventually breaks on its own lies. Columbia collapses not because of rebellion, but because truth always finds its way even through the thickest of clouds. The prophet's followers believed that the city would rise forever, but faith built on superiority can't survive equality. A God who serves only the faithful isn't a God at all. He's a mirror with better lighting. Comstock's downfall isn't divine punishment. It's the natural consequence of unchecked conviction. When belief becomes an industry and power begins to sell redemption, collapse is only ever a matter of time. Zachary Comstock is fiction, but the world that made him isn't. He's the embodiment of every age that forgets humility, every nation that mistakes its nostalgia for truth, and every person who worships certainty more than compassion. Faith doesn't corrupt power. Certainty does. Because once you're certain you're right, you'll justify anything to stay that way. Columbia was built to rise above sin, but in its ascent, it forgot how to be
If
human.
the prophet had just railed against the Sodom beneath us, but not accepted the 3 golden gifts of the founders, it would have been enough. If the prophet had just accepted the 3 golden gifts of the founders and not prayed for our deliverance, it would have been enough. If the prophet had only prayed for our deliverance and not led us to this new Eden, it would have been enough. If the prophet had just led us to the new Eden and not purged the vipers of the Orient, it would have been enough.
Maybe, but sometimes Eden is just the story we tell to avoid looking down.